The massive alien fleet moved through space like a dark cloud blocking out the stars. 10,000 ships from 12 different worlds had come together for one purpose. They wanted to destroy Earth and every human living on it. Commander Zethkar stood on the bridge of his flagship. His four arms crossed over his chest as he watched the small blue planet growing larger on the screen. The humans called it Earth. Soon it would be nothing but dust and memories. Zethkar was not like humans. His skin was gray and hard like stone. His eyes were black and could see things that humans could not. He came from a world where the strong ruled the weak. He had fought in many wars and won them all, but this war was different. This time he was scared. The fear did not come from the humans themselves. Humans were weak creatures made of soft flesh and bone. They lived for less than 100 years. They could not even breathe in space without machines to help them. No, the fear came from what the humans had built. Something they called Project Lazarus. 3 months ago, spies had brought terrible news to the Galactic Council. The humans were building a weapon. Not just any weapon, but something that could destroy entire star systems. The spies said the humans were crazy enough to use it. They said humans did not fear death the way other species did. Zethkar looked at the other ships in his fleet. The tall, thin Veltar had brought their fastest ships. The Korthic warriors had come in their battle cruisers painted red with the blood of their enemies. Even the peaceful Etherians had sent their forces. When the Etherians agreed to fight, everyone knew the threat was real. The ship's communication system made a soft sound. A hologram appeared in front of Zethkar. It was Admiral Kresh of the Korthak. His face was covered in scars from old battles. His teeth were sharp like knives. "Commander Zethkar," Admiral Kresh said, "my warriors grow restless. When do we attack?" "Soon," Zethkar replied. "We are still 2 days from Earth. We must be careful. The humans are clever in ways we do not understand." Admiral Kresh laughed. It was not a happy sound. "Clever? They are insects. We will crush them like insects." "Do not be so sure," said another voice. A new hologram appeared. This one was Captain Solara of the Veltar. She was beautiful in the way her people were beautiful, with silver skin that seemed to glow, but her eyes were cold. "I have studied the humans for many years. They think differently than we do. They plan for wars that might happen 50 years in the future." Admiral Kresh spat on the floor of his own bridge. "Planning means nothing when your ships are burning." "Perhaps," Captain Solara said. "But consider this. The humans knew we were coming. They had to know. Our fleets have been gathering for months, yet they have not run away. They have not tried to hide. They wait for us." Zethkar felt the fear grow stronger in his chest. Captain Solara was right. The humans should have been afraid. They should have tried to escape to other star systems. Instead, they seemed to be preparing for a fight they could not win. The holograms disappeared, leaving Zethkar alone with his thoughts. He walked to the large window that looked out into space. In the distance, he could see the yellow star that the humans called Sol. It looked like any other star, but somehow it felt wrong. His tactical officer approached. This was Sub-Commander Vises, a young hegemony officer with green skin and 3 eyes. "Sir, we are receiving a message from Earth." "Put it on the main screen," Zethkar ordered. The screen changed to show a human woman. She was older, with gray hair and lines around her eyes. She wore a blue uniform with many small metal pieces on it. Behind her, Zethkar could see other humans working at strange machines. "I am Admiral Sarah Chun of the Earth Defense Force," the woman said. Her voice was calm, as if she was discussing the weather. "You have entered our star system without permission. Please state your intentions." Zethkar stepped forward. "I am Commander Zethkar of the Void Armada. We come to end the threat you pose to the galaxy. Surrender now and your deaths will be quick." Admiral Chun smiled. It was a strange smile, not happy but not sad either. "I see. And what threat do we pose exactly?" "You know what you have built," Zethkar said. "Project Lazarus, a weapon that could destroy us all." The human admiral tilted her head to one side. "Project Lazarus? I'm afraid you have been given bad information, Commander. We have no such weapon. You lie, Zethkar said. His voice grew louder. Our spies have seen it. Have they? Admiral Chun asked. Or have they seen what we wanted them to see? The transmission ended. The screen went black. Zethkar stared at the empty screen for a long moment. What did the human mean? What had they wanted the spies to see? Sub-Commander. Dices spoke quietly. Sir, should we prepare for battle? Zethkar nodded slowly. Yes, but tell all ships to be ready for anything. I do not trust these humans. As the Void Armada moved closer to Earth, strange things began to happen. Ships reported problems with their navigation systems. Sensors showed readings that made no sense. The space around Jupiter seemed to bend and twist in ways that should not be possible. The science officers said it was natural. Jupiter was a large planet with a strong gravity field. Sometimes this caused small problems with sensitive equipment, but Zethkar was not so sure. He had fought near many large planets before. This felt different. On the bridge of his ship, Captain Solara studied the sensor readings. Something was very wrong, but she could not figure out what. The humans had only sent a few messages since the first one. Each time, Admiral Chun seemed calm and confident. Too confident for someone who was about to die. Admiral Kresh was having problems of his own. 3 of his ships had reported engine troubles. Nothing serious, just small issues that slowed them down. His engineers said it was bad luck. Kresh did not believe in luck. He believed in preparation and skill and the weakness of his enemies. The humans seemed weak. Their few ships were small and old. Their cities were not protected by the kind of shields that other worlds used. Their military bases were easy to find and looked easy to destroy. Everything about Earth said that this would be a simple battle. So why did Zethkar feel like he was walking into a trap? 2 days later, the Void Armada reached the edge of Earth's solar system. The human fleet was waiting for them. 200 small ships arranged in a neat formation near the planet Mars. They looked tiny compared to the massive alien fleet. Zethkar stood on his bridge and counted the human ships again. 200 against 10,000. It was not even a real fight. All ships, he said into his communicator, begin the attack. Show these humans what happens when they threaten the galaxy. The Void Armada moved forward like a great wave of death. Their weapons charged with energy that could melt mountains. Their shields glowed with power that could stop any attack. But as they advanced, Zethkar noticed something strange. The human ships were not running away. They were not trying to hide behind their planet. Instead, they were moving forward to meet the alien fleet. 200 ships against 10,000, and they came forward like they had a chance to win. For the first time in his long life as a warrior, Commander Zethkar wondered if he had made a terrible mistake. The battle began at exactly 0800 Earth time. The alien fleet opened fire with weapons that could crack planets in half. Beams of pure energy shot across space like lightning. The human ships responded with their own weapons, but they seemed weak. In comparison, Commander Zethkar watched from his bridge as the first human ship exploded. The tiny vessel broke apart in a bright flash of light and metal. His crew cheered. This would be easier than they thought. Admiral Sarachun's flagship led the human fleet. It was called the Defiance, and it fought like its name suggested. The ship twisted and turned through space, avoiding the alien weapons while firing back. But there were too many enemies. For every shot the humans fired, 100 came back. At them. Target their command ship, Zethkar ordered. End this quickly. 5 of his largest warships turned their guns on the Defiance. The human ship tried to escape, but it was surrounded. Energy beams hit its shields again and again until they failed. Then the beams hit the ship itself. The Defiance exploded in a ball of fire that could be seen from Earth. Admiral Chung was gone. The human fleet had lost its leader, but something strange happened. Instead of falling apart, the human ships fought harder. They formed new groups and kept attacking. It was as if losing their admiral made them angry instead of afraid. Captain Solara watched the battle from her ship. She was good at seeing patterns, and something about this battle bothered her. The humans were fighting well, but not too well. They made mistakes that seemed almost planned. Their retreat was too organized. Their formations were too perfect. Sub-Commander, she called to her second-in-command, run a deep scan on the human wreckage. Yes, Captain, the officer replied. A few minutes later, he looked confused. Captain, these readings are strange. The metal composition is not what we expected. What do you mean? The destroyed ships? They are made of materials that should not work in space. The metal is too light. The power sources are too small. It is as if ... As if what? As if they were not real ships at all. Captain Solara felt ice form in her stomach. She had studied human technology for years. She knew what their ships should look like inside. These readings were all wrong. On Admiral Crush's ship, the Korthak warriors were celebrating. They had destroyed 50 human vessels in the first hour. The enemy was running away toward Earth. Soon they would crush the last of the human fleet against their own planet. Cowards, Admiral Crush laughed. They run like children. This is not even a real fight. But his weapons officer was frowning at his screens. Admiral, something is wrong with our targeting systems. The human ships keep disappearing from our sensors for a few seconds at a time. Equipment failure, Kresh said. Fix it. Sir, it is not our equipment. It is happening to ships across the fleet. The humans appear to be using some kind of jamming technology. Admiral Kresh stopped laughing. Jamming technology meant the humans were more advanced than they appeared. That was not good news. The battle continued for 6 hours. One by one, the human ships were destroyed. They fought bravely, but they could not win against such overwhelming numbers. The last human ship, a small destroyer called the Hope, made a final desperate attack on Zethkar's flagship. The Hope came straight at them, firing everything it had. Zethkar's shields held easily. His weapons destroyed the small ship in seconds. The battle was over. The human fleet was gone. All ships report status, Zethkar ordered. Minor damage to 12 vessels, Sub-Commander Theises reported. No ships lost. The humans have been completely destroyed, Zethkar nodded. It had been too easy, much too easy. Begin advance toward Earth. Prepare bombardment weapons. As the Void Armada moved toward the blue planet, Captain Solara continued her analysis of the battle. The more she studied the data, the more worried she became. The human ships had fought exactly like ships in a training simulation. Every move was from a standard textbook. Every formation was something taught in military schools across the galaxy. It was too perfect, she said to herself. No real battle is ever that perfect. She opened the communication channel to Commander Zethkar. Commander, I need to speak with you privately. A few minutes later, Zethkar's image appeared on her screen. What is it, Captain? I believe we have been deceived, Solara said. The human fleet we just destroyed was not their real fleet. Zethkar's 4 eyes narrowed. Explain. The ships were too light. Their weapons were too weak. Their tactics were too predictable. I think they were decoys. Decoys? How is that possible? Advanced. Holographic technology combined with drone ships. The humans let us destroy fake vessels while their real fleet remains hidden. Zethkar felt the fear return to his chest. If Captain Solara was right, then where was the real human fleet? And why had they gone to so much trouble to hide it? All ships, full sensor sweep, he ordered. Look for anything unusual, any energy signatures that do not belong. The alien fleet spread out as they approached Earth. Their sensors reached out into space, looking for hidden enemies. At first, they found nothing. Space looked empty except for the normal things you would expect to find. Asteroids, small moons, pieces of space junk left over from human space exploration. But slowly, the sensors began to pick up strange readings. Energy signatures that were too strong for space junk. Metal compositions that looked like ship hulls. Heat patterns that suggested hidden engines. Sub-Commander Theises ran the data through his computers 3 times before he believed the results. When he was sure, he turned to Zethkar with wide eyes. "Commander," he said quietly, "you need to see this." The main screen filled with sensor data. Red dots appeared throughout the solar system. Each dot represented a hidden ship or weapons platform. There were hundreds of them, then thousands. The computer kept finding more. "How many?" Zethkar asked. Tice's voice was barely a whisper. "Over 30,000 ships, sir." "They are everywhere. Hidden in asteroids, disguised as space debris, powered down behind moons. We are completely surrounded." The bridge became very quiet. Everyone stared at the screen showing the red dots. The Void Armada had come to destroy a weak human fleet of 200 ships. Instead, they had walked into the middle of a force 3 times larger than their own. "Sir," the communications officer called out, "we are receiving a message from Earth." "Put it on screen," Zethkar ordered. Admiral Sarah Chun appeared on the screen. She was very much alive, standing on what looked like the bridge of a massive warship. Behind her, thousands of humans worked at battle stations. She was smiling, the same strange smile as before. "Hello again, Commander Zethkar," she said. "I hope you enjoyed our little performance. My actors worked very hard to make it believable." "Actors?" Zethkar's voice cracked. "The ships you destroyed were piloted by advanced artificial intelligence," Admiral Chin explained. "We have been expecting your visit for quite some time, long enough to prepare a proper welcome." On his own bridge, Admiral Kresh was screaming orders at his crew. "Power up all weapons, raise shields to maximum. Prepare for battle," but his weapons officer looked terrified. "Admiral, we are detecting massive energy buildups throughout the system. Whatever the humans have been hiding, it is all coming online." At once, Captain Solara closed her eyes and let her mind work through the implications. The humans had known the Void Armada was coming. They had prepared for this exact moment. Every diplomatic meeting, every cultural exchange, every spy mission had been part of a larger plan. "They have been planning this for decades," she said to herself. "Everything we thought we knew about humans was a lie." On the main screen, Admiral Chun continued speaking. "I should probably mention something about Project Lazarus since you came all this way to find it. The project name does not refer to a weapon, Commander. It refers to our ability to rise from the dead. You see, you just watched the human fleet die in glorious battle. But like Lazarus in our old stories, we have returned to life. The screen filled with new images. Massive ships emerged from behind asteroids. Weapons platforms the size of cities. Powered up inside what had looked like dead moons. The space around Jupiter began to glow with energy so powerful it hurt to look at directly. "The question now," Admiral Chun said, "is what we should do with uninvited guests who came to our home, planning to commit genocide." Commander Zethkar realized that his greatest fear had come true. The humans were not the weak, primitive species everyone thought they were. They were something far more dangerous. They were a species that had spent decades pretending to be weak while building the largest military force the galaxy had ever seen. And now the Void Armada was trapped in the middle of it all. The space around Earth erupted into light and movement. What had looked like empty space and floating rocks suddenly came alive with the largest fleet anyone had ever seen. Ships the size of mountains emerged from asteroids that split open like flowers. Weapons platforms disguised as space junk powered up with energy that made the stars look dim. Commander Zethkar watched in horror as his sensors tried to count the human vessels. The numbers kept climbing. 30,000, 40,000, 50,000. The computer finally stopped counting and simply displayed a message that said, "Enemy force too large to calculate." "This is impossible," Sub-Commander Thices whispered. "How did they build so many ships without anyone knowing?" Admiral Chun's image still filled the main screen. Behind her, humans worked calmly at their stations as if surrounding the most powerful fleet in the galaxy was just another day at work. "I can see you are surprised," Admiral Chun said. "You should not be. Humans have been preparing for this day since we first met your people 50 years ago. We knew that eventually someone would decide we were too dangerous to live." On his ship, Admiral Kresh was screaming orders. All ships attack formation, fire at will, destroy everything that moves. The Korthak warships opened fire, but their weapons seemed tiny compared to what fired back. Human ships the size of cities returned fire with beams of energy so powerful they could be seen from Earth's surface. When the beams hit Kresh's ships, they did not just damage them. They melted them. 3 Korthak vessels simply disappeared, turned into glowing gas in seconds. The remaining ships stopped firing and tried to escape, but there was nowhere to run. Human ships appeared on all sides, cutting off every escape route. Captain Solara tried to understand what she was seeing. The human fleet was not just large. It was organized in ways that seemed impossible. Every ship knew exactly where to be and what to do. There was no confusion, no hesitation. It was as if the entire fleet shared one mind. How do they coordinate so many ships? She asked her tactical officer. Unknown, Captain. Our computers detect no standard communication signals between their vessels, yet they move together perfectly. Solara realized the terrible truth. The humans had not just built more ships than anyone thought possible. They had also solved the problem of commanding such a large fleet. Somehow they could control 50,000 ships as easily as most species controlled 50. The battle began in earnest. But it was not really a battle. It was a demonstration. The human ships did not fight like any military force the aliens had ever seen. They fought like they had been planning this exact fight for decades. Every alien ship that fired found itself targeted by 10 human vessels. Every alien formation was broken apart by attacks that came from directions they had not expected. The humans seemed to know what the aliens would do before the aliens knew it themselves. Commander Zethkar tried to rally his fleet. All ships concentrate fire on Sector 7. Break through their lines. But when his ships moved towards Sector 7, they found it empty. The human ships had moved away seconds before the attack arrived. Instead, the aliens found themselves flying into a trap. Human vessels appeared above and below them, surrounding them completely. Sir, Subcommander Thises reported, we have lost contact with 300 ships. They are not destroyed. They are just done. Gone? What do you mean gone? Their signals disappeared from our sensors. No explosion, no wreckage, no distress calls? They were there one moment and gone the next. Zethkar felt his confidence crumbling. Ships did not just disappear, but the humans seemed to have weapons that could make them vanish without a trace. Admiral Kresh found himself trapped in the middle of a human formation. Everywhere he looked, massive human battleships pointed their weapons at his fleet. His own ships looked like toys in comparison. A human voice came over his communication system. It was calm and polite. Admiral Kresh, this is Captain Martinez of the Earthship Venganza. You are surrounded. Surrender now and your crews will be treated according to galactic law. Kresh spat. Korthak warriors do not surrender. We fight. Until death. As you wish, Captain Martinez replied. What happened next would be talked about in military schools for centuries. The human ships did not fire their main weapons. Instead, they fired something else. Beams of strange energy hit the Korthak vessels. The ships did not explode or melt. They simply stopped working. Engines shut down. Weapons powered off. Life support systems failed. In minutes, the entire Korthak fleet was floating helplessly. In space, their crews were alive but trapped in dead ships. Surrender now, Captain Martinez said again, or we will leave you to drift in space forever. This time, Admiral Kresh surrendered. Captain Solara tried to escape with her fastest ships. The Veltar vessels were built for speed, and she thought she might be able to break through the human lines. But when she ordered maximum speed, her ships barely moved. What is wrong with our engines? She demanded. Her chief engineer looked confused. Captain, the engines are working perfectly. But space itself seems to be ... It is as if we are trying to fly through mud instead of vacuum. Solara understood immediately. The humans had not just hidden ships throughout the solar system. They had also built devices that could change the nature of space itself. They had turned the entire area around Earth into a trap that nothing could escape from. On her screen, she could see the strange glow around Jupiter getting brighter. Whatever the humans had built near the giant planet was powering up. The energy readings were beyond anything she had ever seen. Admiral Chun appeared on Silara's communication screen. Captain Silara, you are an intelligent officer. I am sure you understand your situation. You have won, Silara said quietly. What happens now? That depends on you, Admiral Chun replied. Your people came here to commit genocide. To kill every human man, woman, and child. That is not something we can forgive or forget. What do you want? I want you to understand something very important, Admiral Chun said. Humans have been studying your species for 50 years. We know how you think, how you fight, how you make decisions. We know your strengths and your weaknesses. We know things about your people that your own leaders do not know. Silara felt a chill run down her spine. What are you saying? I am saying that this battle was never about defending Earth. Earth was never in danger. This battle was about teaching the galaxy a lesson. You see, Captain, humans have a saying, speak softly and carry a big stick. For 50 years, we have been speaking very softly. Today, you get to see our big stick. The glow around Jupiter suddenly flared brighter than the sun. Energy readings climbed to levels that should have been impossible. Silara's instruments began to smoke and fail as they tried to measure forces beyond their design limits. What have you done to Jupiter? She whispered. Admiral Chun smiled. We have turned it into the largest bomb in the galaxy. One that we can detonate any time we choose. The explosion would destroy everything within 10 light years, including your homeworlds. The truth hit Silara like a physical blow. The humans had not just prepared to defend themselves. They had prepared to destroy their enemies completely. Jupiter was not just a weapon. It was a doomsday device that could wipe out entire civilizations. You would not dare, she said. You would die too, would we? Admiral Chun asked. Are you so sure about that? After everything you have seen today, are you willing to bet your species' survival on what you think humans would or would not do? Silara looked around at the human fleet surrounding her ships. 50,000 vessels, each one larger and more powerful than anything her people had ever built. All of them crewed by beings who had spent decades planning for this moment. You could have revealed this fleet years ago, she said. You could have warned us away from Earth. Why did you wait? Because warnings can be ignored, Admiral Chun replied. Demonstrations cannot. After today, no species in the galaxy will ever again make the mistake of thinking humans are weak or helpless. They will know that we prefer peace, but that we are prepared for war. Commander Zethkar's flagship was surrounded by human ships so large they blocked out the stars. His once mighty fleet was scattered and broken. Half his ships were destroyed or disabled. The other half were trapped like insects in a web. A new voice came over his communications. It was different from Admiral Chun's voice, younger, but somehow more frightening. Commander Zethkar, this is General Harrison, Commander of the Solar Defense Grid. You have one chance to listen carefully to what I am about to tell you. Zethkar said nothing. What was there to say? Your people believed that humans were a threat that needed to be eliminated, General Harrison continued. You were right. We are a threat, but not in the way you thought. We are not a threat because we want to conquer the galaxy. We are a threat because we will do whatever it takes to protect ourselves. And after today, protecting ourselves includes making sure that no one ever tries this again. The human ships began to move into new positions. Zethkar could see that they were forming some kind of pattern around his fleet. It looked almost like a ritual circle. What are you doing? He asked. We are preparing to show the galaxy what happens when someone tries to commit genocide against the human race, General Harrison replied. The battle that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. It was not a fight between two armies. It was a masterclass in how humans fought. When they decided something needed to be completely destroyed, Commander Zethkar watched his flagship screens as his fleet was systematically taken apart. The humans did not attack like other species. They did not charge forward with honor or retreat when things got difficult. Instead, they fought like they were solving a mathematical problem. Cold, precise, and absolutely ruthless, a group of his best ships tried to break through the human lines. The human response was immediate and terrible. 20 human vessels appeared around the alien ships, but they did not fire their weapons. Instead, they did something worse. The human ships rammed into the alien vessels. But these were not desperate attacks by damaged ships. These were planned, coordinated strikes. The human crews sang as they drove their ships into the enemy. They sang songs about Earth and home and the people they were protecting. Sub-Commander Vises watched in horror as a human cruiser smashed into one of their battleships. Both vessels exploded in a ball of fire. But even as they died, the human crew was transmitting data back to their fleet. Information about alien ship design, weapon placement, shield frequencies. They are using their own deaths as weapons, Vises whispered. They turn themselves into guided missiles and gather intelligence at the same time. This was something no other species would do. Most beings in the galaxy valued their own lives above all else. They would fight to defend their homes, but they would not willingly die unless there was no other choice. Humans seemed to have no such limitation. They threw their lives away like tools, using them to accomplish their goals. Captain Solara tried to understand the human strategy. Her people were logical. They fought in ways that made sense. But the humans fought in ways that seemed insane. Until you realized they were working, a human ship would fly straight at an alien vessel, taking massive damage. Just before it was destroyed, it would explode its own reactor. The explosion would damage several alien ships at once. Then other human ships would attack the damaged vessels while their shields were down. It was not honorable, it was not fair. But it was devastatingly effective. They fight like they do not care if they live or die, her tactical officer said. No, Solara corrected him. They fight like they care more about winning than living. There is a difference. Admiral Kresh had surrendered, but his warriors had not. The Korthic crews broke out of their disabled ships and tried to board human vessels. They thought they could win in hand-to-hand combat. They were wrong. The humans who met them in the corridors of their ships were not like any soldiers the Korthic had ever fought. They moved together like they shared one mind. When one human fell, another immediately took their place. They used weapons that seemed designed specifically to kill Korthic warriors, but worse than their weapons was their attitude. The humans did not fight with anger or hatred. They fought with the calm efficiency of people doing their jobs. They killed Korthic warriors the same way others might fix a broken machine. Just another task to be completed. Within an hour, every Korthic boarding party was dead or captured. The humans had not just won. They had made it look easy. The strangest part was how the humans treated their prisoners. They gave them medical care. They offered them food and water. They followed all the rules of war that civilized species agreed to follow. But they did it all with the same cold efficiency they used to kill. Why do you help us? Admiral Kresh asked the human doctor treating his wounds. The doctor was a small woman with gentle hands. She looked like she would be more comfortable growing flowers than treating wounded soldiers. Because you are no longer a threat, she said simply. There is no point in causing unnecessary suffering, Admiral Kresh stared at her. But you were willing to kill us all just minutes ago. Of course, the doctor replied as she bandaged his arm. You came here to commit genocide. We responded appropriately. Now you are prisoners of war. We respond appropriately to that too. This was something Admiral Kresh could not understand. How could beings be so gentle and so brutal at the same time? How could they sing while they died and then offer medical care to their enemies? General Harrison's voice came over the communication systems of every ship in the alien fleet. Attention all vessels. You have fought bravely, but this battle is over. Any ship that continues to resist will be destroyed completely. Any ship that surrenders will be treated according to galactic law. Commander Zethkar looked at his tactical display. He had started this battle with 10,000 ships. Now he had less than 3,000. The rest were destroyed, disabled, or captured. His mighty fleet had been reduced to scattered groups of frightened vessels hiding behind asteroids, but the humans were not done teaching their lesson. You came here because you believed humans had built a weapon called Project Lazarus, General Harrison continued. You were told this weapon could destroy star systems? You were told we were too dangerous to live. I want to show you how right you were. The glow around Jupiter suddenly became brighter than a sun. Energy readings climbed to levels that made alien instruments overload and shut down. Space itself seemed to bend and twist around the giant planet. 50 years ago, we began changing Jupiter, General Harrison explained. We injected it with materials that would make its core unstable. We built control systems that would let us trigger a fusion reaction that would turn the entire planet into a bomb large enough to destroy every world within 10 light years. Captain Solara felt her blood turn to ice. 10 light years would include her homeworld. It would include the homeworlds of most of the species in the Void Armada. You are insane, she transmitted. You would destroy yourselves too, General Harrison laughed. It was not a happy sound, would we? Look around you, Captain. Look at what we have built. Do you really think we have not planned for that possibility too? New ships began to appear on the alien sensors. These were different from the warships they had been fighting. These ships were enormous, the size of small cities. They looked like they were designed for long journeys through space. Colony ships. We have been preparing for this day for 50 years, General Harrison said. If we trigger the Jupiter bomb, most of our people will survive on ships like these. We will lose Earth, but our species will continue. Can you say the same about your people? The truth was becoming clear to the alien commanders. The humans had not just prepared to defend themselves. They had prepared to commit mutual destruction on a scale that was almost unimaginable. They were willing to destroy their own homeworld if it meant taking their enemies with them. But there was something else. Something that made the situation even more terrifying. Admiral Chun appeared on the screens again. She was standing in what looked like a control room filled with complex machinery. Behind her, human technicians worked at stations monitoring the Jupiter weapon. I want to make something very clear, she said. Project Lazarus is not just about the bomb. Lazarus was a man who died and came back to life. The project is about our ability to appear weak and peaceful while hiding our true strength. It is about our ability to seem like victims while we prepare to destroy our enemies. She gestured to the displays around her. Every cultural exchange, every diplomatic meeting, every time we seemed friendly and harmless, we were gathering information. We studied your ship designs, your weapon systems, your military tactics. We learned how you think and how you fight. We used your own curiosity about us to learn everything we needed to defeat you. Commander Zethkar realized the horrible truth. The humans had never intended to be part of the galactic community as equals. They had always been preparing for war. Every smile, every friendly gesture, every moment of apparent cooperation had been part of a plan that took decades to complete. You have been playing a game you did not know you were in? Admiral Chun continued. For 50 years, you thought you were dealing with a primitive species that was slowly learning to be civilized. In reality, you were being studied by predators who were deciding whether or not you were a threat. The alien fleet was trapped. They could not escape because the humans had filled space with devices that made faster-than-light travel impossible. They could not win because they were outnumbered and outgunned. They could not negotiate because the humans seemed to have already decided their fate. What do you want from us? Commander Zethkar asked. Admiral Chun smiled that same strange smile she had worn throughout the battle. We want you to understand something very important. You came here to destroy us because you thought we were dangerous. You were right, we are dangerous, but not because we want to conquer the galaxy. We are dangerous because we will do anything, sacrifice anything, destroy anything that threatens our survival. She paused, letting her words sink in. The question now is what we do with that knowledge. Do we let you return to your people to tell them what you have learned? Do we keep you as prisoners? Or do we make sure that no one ever learns what happened here? The choice, she implied, was not up to the aliens, it was up to the humans. And that was the most terrifying thing of all. 3 hours after the battle ended, the last alien ship stopped fighting. The mighty void armada that had come to destroy humanity was now scattered wreckage floating in space. Of the 10,000 ships that had entered the Sol system, only a few hundred remained intact. The rest were gone, but they were not just destroyed. They had vanished. Admiral Chun stood in the command center of her flagship, watching as human ships completed their work. Specialized vessels moved through the debris field, using weapons that broke down matter at the molecular level. Every piece of alien metal, every fragment of enemy technology, every trace that the Void Armada had ever existed was being systematically erased. "Status report," she requested. "Cleanup is 70% complete," reported Commander Kim, her operations officer. "All alien vessels have been neutralized. Prisoners are secured on detention ships. The molecular disintegrators are working faster than expected," Admiral Chun nodded. The disintegrators were one of humanity's most carefully guarded secrets. Weapons that could reduce any matter to its basic atoms, leaving no trace behind. They had been developed specifically for situations like this. When the enemy needed to disappear completely, Commander Zethkar found himself in a cell aboard a human prison ship. The cell was clean and comfortable, with food, water, and medical care. But the walls were made of materials he did not recognize, and he knew there was no way to escape. Through a small window, he could see human ships working in the distance. Strange beams of light swept across areas where his fleet had been destroyed. Wherever the beams touched, the wreckage simply ceased to exist. Not melted, not vaporized, but actually gone as if it had never been there. A human guard approached his cell. She was young, with short brown hair and kind eyes. She could have been anyone's daughter. "Commander Zethkar," she said politely. "Admiral Chun would like to speak with you." Zethkar was escorted to a room with a large table. Admiral Chun sat across from him, along with several other human officers. On the table was a device he did not recognize. "Please sit," Admiral Chun said. "We need to discuss your future." Zethkar sat down slowly. "What future?" "You have destroyed my fleet. My people will think we are all dead." "That is exactly what we want them to think," Admiral Chun replied. "As far as the galaxy knows, the Void Armada simply disappeared. Number. Wreckage, no survivors, no evidence of what happened here." She gestured to the device on the table. "This is a memory modification unit. It can change what you remember about the past few days. We can make you believe that your fleet never came to Earth. We can give you new memories of being somewhere else entirely." Zethkar stared at the device. "You want to change my mind?" "We want to give you a choice," Admiral Chun said. "Option 1. We modify your memories and return you to your people. You will remember nothing of this battle. You will have no knowledge of our true capabilities. Your people will continue to believe that humans are weak and primitive. And option 2? Admiral Chun's expression became serious. "Option 2. You keep your memories and spend the rest of your life in comfortable imprisonment. You will be treated well, but you will never see your home again. The knowledge of what you witnessed here dies with you." Zethkar looked around the room at the human faces watching him. They did not look cruel or angry. They looked like people doing an unpleasant but necessary job. "Why give me a choice at all?" he asked. "Why not just kill me?" "Because we are not monsters," Admiral Chun replied. "We do what we must to protect our people, but we do not cause unnecessary suffering. You came here believing you were doing the right thing. You thought humans were a threat that needed to be stopped. You were wrong, but your intentions were not evil." Captain Solara was given the same choice in a different room. She sat across from General Harrison, the human commander who had spoken during the battle. Like Admiral Chun, he seemed calm and reasonable. "I have studied humans for years," Solara said. "I thought I understood your species, but this changes everything. What changes? General Harrison asked. You are not just warriors, you are— what is the word? Actors. You have been pretending to be something you are not for 50 years, General Harrison nodded. That is correct. We learned early that the galaxy was not ready to accept us as we really are. So we became what the galaxy wanted us to be. Peaceful. Curious, harmless, it was not entirely false. We do prefer peace, but we have always been prepared for war. Solara thought about her choice. Keep her memories and live as a prisoner, or forget everything and return home. If I choose to remember, what happens to me? You will live on a world we have prepared for prisoners, General Harrison explained. It is a good world, with clean air and water and everything you need to be comfortable. You will have books, entertainment, other prisoners to talk with. But you will never leave. And if I choose to forget, you will wake up on your ship at the edge of the galaxy. Your last memory will be of receiving orders to patrol a distant system. You will believe you have been gone for months on a routine mission. When you return home, you will report that you found nothing unusual. Admiral Kresh made his choice. Quickly, I am a warrior, he told the humans. I do not want to live as a prisoner. Change my memories. Let me die believing I fought with honor. The humans respected his decision. They modified his memories carefully, giving him false recollections of glorious battles against space pirates in distant systems. When he woke up, he would believe. He had spent months protecting trade routes and defending the innocent. Captain Solara chose differently. I want to remember, she said. What I have seen here is too important to forget. Someday, this knowledge might be useful. Useful how? General Harrison asked. Perhaps my people will learn to be better neighbors, she replied. Perhaps knowing that humans are truly dangerous will make the galaxy more peaceful, not less. Zeth Kar struggled with his choice for hours. Finally, he made his decision. I will remember, he said. But I want to ask you something. Why did you really spare us? You could have killed us all and no one would ever know. Admiral Chun considered her answer carefully. Because we want the galaxy to learn from this, she said finally. Not immediately, and not all at once, but over time we want certain people to understand what happened here. People like you and Captain Solara. People who can think beyond simple fear and hatred. You want us to tell others. Not directly, but someday, when the time is right, the knowledge you carry might prevent another war. Other species might make the same mistake your people made. When that happens, having a few voices of wisdom saying perhaps we should be careful could save millions of lives. 3 weeks later, the cleanup was complete. Every trace of the Void Armada had been erased from space. The prisoners who chose to remember were taken to their new home, a planet in a distant system that did not appear on any galactic charts. The prisoners who chose to forget were returned to their ships with modified memories and false records. Of their time away, to the galaxy, the Void Armada had simply vanished. Search parties found nothing in the Sol system except the same quiet human colonies that had always been there. Earth's few orbital defense platforms looked exactly as they had before. The asteroid fields showed no signs of hidden ships. Jupiter appeared completely normal. Admiral Chun returned to her office on Luna Base. To anyone who visited, it looked like the workspace of a minor military administrator managing a small defensive force. Her desk held reports about supply shortages and training schedules. Her walls displayed certificates from diplomatic academies and pictures of human exploration vessels. There was no sign that she had just commanded the largest space battle in galactic history. A message arrived on her personal communicator. It was from the Hegemony High Command asking if Earth's defense forces had detected any unusual activity in their system. Several fleets had gone missing recently, and the Council was concerned about space pirates. Admiral Chun smiled as she composed her reply. No unusual activity detected, she wrote. Our sensors show normal space traffic only. We will increase patrols and report anything suspicious immediately. She sent the message and returned to her paperwork. Tomorrow, a new diplomatic mission would arrive from the Etherian Collective. They had questions about human defensive capabilities and wanted to discuss mutual defense treaties. Admiral Chun would meet them with tea and polite conversation. She would seem impressed by their advanced technology and grateful for their friendship. She would ask many questions about their ships and weapons, all in the spirit of learning from more experienced species, and the Etherians would never suspect that they were being studied by predators who had already decided whether or not they posed a threat to humanity. The Great Deception continued. Earth remained the quiet, peaceful world that wanted nothing more than to be left alone. The humans continued to seem weak and harmless, always asking for help and advice from their more advanced neighbors. But in secret facilities hidden throughout the solar system, new weapons were being built. New ships were being constructed. New plans were being made for threats that might emerge decades in the future. The Void Armada had vanished without a trace. But the lesson it taught would last forever. Humanity was not the weak species it appeared to be.